Pure Experiences.
Welcome to the Pure Experiences podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Pure Experiences online satsang. We are still recovering from the network issues here, so I request everyone to please keep the microphones, cameras off, because it starts downloading those things and slows down. So as usual, we are going to start our Sunday question and answer session. So if you have any questions or if you wish to discuss something which is your favorite topic or about which you are studying, or you want to share your own experiences, then everyone is most welcome. Meanwhile, I'm going to start with the questions that I received online, just as a warm-up exercise. And in case you're not able to hear me or the voice drops, don't worry, usually in 2 or 3 minutes it again picks up. But if you miss something, then the recording will be available at the Podbean site as a podcast. So I'll start with a very commonly asked question, and the question is how to know whether I'm progressing on my path or not. How to know if I am growing? What are the indicators of the spiritual progress? So this is a very commonly asked question, and when people take up any kind of practice or when they join a guru or an ashram, then after 1 or 2 years they start wondering whether I'm making any progress or not, because they know a lot, they know many things, they know the techniques, they know and the scriptures, they know many things, but there is a doubt in the mind what good it is for me. And they can sit in meditation for 1 hour, they can do the pranayama and all that perfectly, but then there is a question, what good all this is, or whether I am progressing or not, and what is the meaning of progressing. So as you must have guessed, the answer is very simple, the answer is very, very obvious, and that is my answer usually. That is my canned answer to this question of progress, and that is that if your happiness goes on increasing, if your freedom goes on increasing, if your peace of mind is expanding, that means you are progressing. The answer is very short and simple, but this is the truth, isn't it? When you say progress, people may want to define it differently. What is the progress? What do you mean by progress? On the material path, if you are just an ordinary person living your life, then progress is more and more prosperity, more food, more mates, more social status, more stuff, a very comfortable life, and a healthy body. Healthy body is required if you want to enjoy all that material benefits. So there is absolutely no doubt in the minds of people what does material progress mean, and most of them are after that. Even after progressing, they want to progress more. And on the path of intellectual achievements, because material progress and eating and these things are not the only thing. You want to do something in your life. So intellectual achievements, build something, achieve something, become something, like a famous rock star or a big politician, or become an artist, a singer, something like that. And there is absolutely no doubts in the minds of the people what the progress on the intellectual achievements means. It means to become better than others. And when it comes to the spiritual stuff, then suddenly there is a doubt. What is progress? What do you mean by progress? Because you see, a lot of ignorance. lack of experience on the spiritual path. That is the cause of this question. And then there is additional questions like, why am I not progressing? What are the obstacles on my path? And so on. So why is it that people do not know what is progress on the spiritual path? Because the essential knowledge is lacking. That's why there is a lot of confusion. And if you go to a few gurus, then you will get different answers from different gurus. If you are on the energetic paths, in a path of effort, then what is progress? Progress is sitting longer and longer in meditation, getting into samadhi for long amount of time, long duration of time, and being able to control the body, control the energies, control the mind, the thoughts, and slow down the aging of the body and so on. These will be the criteria for progress on the yogic paths. And if you are on that path of devotion, then more and more surrender, more and more service. How much have you donated this year? The rate at which you are becoming angry, or the rate at which the hate is coming in your mind, whether it is going down or not. Are you becoming more and more ethical and compassionate? Are you displaying more and more kindness, the genuine kindness, not the fake kindness? So these are the criteria for the progress. Now let us, stop beating around the bush, come to the path of knowledge, where the criteria is very direct and straightforward. You don't need to do all these things in order to progress. The criteria is happiness and freedom. Look at the material person, the hedonistic person. What are they aiming for? They want objects, or they want people, or they want big, houses, or a lot of land, or a powerful position in the society. Because they are not stupid. They also know these things do not stay. The impermanence will consume these things. So what are they after? They are after the happiness that comes from these things. And not needing to struggle, which means freedom to do whatever they please and to have whatever they want. So they are also after happiness and freedom. Criteria for progress is not how much you have. The criteria for progress is again how happy you are with whatever you have, how happy you are with your relations, whatever relations you have, whatever families you have, not how big is the family. So I have seen people who have 100 relatives and they're miserable totally, especially because of the relatives. So they don't want to let them go because they do not know any other way. So they keep struggling. So ultimately, it is happiness and freedom. That is how the progress is measured on the materialistic path also. You can now guess, I don't need to elaborate so much. If you want to achieve something, if there are intellectual achievements of certain kinds, then again, the satisfaction that you are looking for is manifested as happiness and freedom, not as the things that you achieved. Because the ego starts dancing if it achieves something, but your heart knows that, well, it is empty, it is hollow. There is nothing in the achievement itself. What is really satisfying is the happiness and freedom that you get once you achieve something, because the achievement does not last. Even if you have achieved something great, somebody else is going to come and just run like a bulldozer on your achievement very next day. So nobody is great here because it does not last. It is forgotten. Nothing lasts here. That is why there are odd behaviors in the society. If you take a deeper look in the society, even after achieving, there is no satisfaction, and there is odd behavior to achieve more or to preserve that achievement, to keep that thing for forever, but it does not last. And so attachment with the achievement gives rise to suffering only. So again, here the criteria is happiness and freedom. And that's why on the spiritual path, we just cut to the chase of happiness and freedom. That is the only criteria. That is the only thing that you can recognize as the valid criteria for progress. Even if you are in devotion, let us say, or in the yoga, or on the Tantra, what are you looking for? Are you looking for all these exotic experiences? No. You are looking for the happiness that they provide and the freedom to have all kinds of experiences and the freedom to control all the energies and physical phenomena. That is what you want. And the mind also, that gives control over the mind, gives a lot of freedom, a lot of choices. So this is my experience, that we are not looking for anything else except happiness and freedom. That is the only criteria for the progress. If you get this or you get that, well, it's not going to be satisfactory. You can try it. You can experiment like this. And again, you will come back to this fundamental lack that we are after, which is happiness and freedom. So measure your progress by this scale, this rule, that how happy am I, how peaceful I'm becoming, or how free am I becoming. Now there can be doubts in the mind of newcomers, like, well, I was angry before, I was jealous before, I was hateful, I had hate for this and that kind of people, or that kind of community, or this kind of country, that kind of food, etc., etc. Now it is all, I'm matured a little bit. Now I simply ignore these thoughts when they come. But I don't seem to be happy. There is no joy in my everyday life. And there is this peace, silence. But it is like silence of a cemetery, silence of the dead. It is not happening, silence. And don't worry, because happiness does not mean party all the time. Happiness does not mean that you are laughing and dancing all the time. These are egoic expressions of the happiness. When you are killing the ego, you are diminishing the ego. I mean, the ego is diminishing as a result of the spiritual path, as a result of all the knowledge and experiences that you are getting. So why do you expect more and more expressions of the ego? It is not you who are expecting. You are only the witness of whatever is happening. So it is only the ego that is expecting. The ego will ask for happiness. No, I want happiness. I want that happiness which I achieved when I was 2 years old and we went for picnic and there was cake and my mother and father were playing with me and so on. I want that pure happiness. This is purely egoic, holding on to the past experiences, trying to get the happiness out of the dead experience of memory, trying to, squeeze a dry lemon. Is there any juice in the dry lemon? Keep squeezing, nothing comes out. So it is the error. That is not the kind of happiness that you should look, not the dead happiness, not that happiness which happened some time ago and now there is only a faint memory. Why does the ego do that? Because it does not know anything else. It is just conditioning, it is trying to repeat it, and happiness cannot be experienced like this. There is no fragrance in a dry flower. So the fresh flower needs to bloom and then the fragrance comes. So happiness is always here and now, in this moment, present. And don't worry if it is not an expression of the joy. Don't worry if it is not an explosion of ecstasy. You're not looking for that kind of happiness. It is always in the form of equanimity. Oh, there is, again, Sunday today. There is also nothing to do today. And my mind is peaceful. It's not bothered by anything today. This is happiness. Now just sit and do whatever you love to do. You see, in the actions that you love, you can find the expression of the equanimity, and it can be pleasure, it can be joy, it can be expressed like this. Now there can be laughter, now there can be dance, now there can be singing, now there can be this energy of life in that. It has to be present moment. If you plan it like, oh, well, there was this party last year and I enjoyed a lot, so let us have the party. So why not, If you love parties, then you should. But you can plan the party, but you cannot plan the happiness. You can try it. If you do something with the aim of achieving happiness out of that, sucking happiness out of that event or that person or that group of people, your friends, good luck. It may or may not happen. If you're spontaneous, you let that happen which you intensely like, then the result is happiness. The result is joy. So you cannot achieve happiness. It is only an expression of the bliss that is already here. It is expressed moment by moment. It is expressed in the everyday actions that we love. You cannot plan it. You cannot call it. You cannot spawn it out of something. It has to be found in the everyday life. Now you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. There is this energy of achievement, so why not? It is not for happiness, you see. If the happiness comes, it is because the desire has been satisfied. That's all. So if you do everything that you like with equanimity, then that is the true happiness. If you do whatever you love with perfect skill, beautifully, because perfect skill appears as beauty in your actions, so on. And then there is there are many doubts about the freedom also. No, I'm not free in this place. I don't get to go out. There are so many restrictions on me, or I'm bound by my work, my job. My boss is, like I'm always on the leash, and the boss holds my leash for 10 hours per day. We don't like it even for 1 minute. Some people are living their lives like this, 10 hours per day. For what? There are misunderstandings about what is freedom. And I have a very simple answer again. Lack of bondage is freedom. You cannot get freedom by doing this or that, by changing the situations or by getting rid of people. There is no freedom in that. Freedom is absence of bondage. If you do not perceive any kind of bondage, that is freedom. That is your real nature then. If you are not bound by anything. That also means the things that you like. If there is too much attachment and clinging in that, it is not freedom, it is bondage. So sometimes people will think freedom is ability to do whatever I want to do. I am not free because I cannot do this or I cannot do that. Now look at this. It is the bondage. It is the bondage to this thought that I must do some things. Otherwise I won't get the happiness. Otherwise my desires won't be fulfilled. Or these desires are not being fulfilled. I am not free to fulfill these desires. And that is bondage. Even if you fulfill it. Even if you do something which you like to do, the bondage will be there because it is impermanent. It will go away and something else will appear there as a limitation. So, trying to do things that you think will achieve freedom is actually bondage. There is no choice, you see. You do not have a choice. You cannot say, no, I won't do it. I'll do something else because there is attachment, there is clinging, there is this. You're chained to that action which you want to perform again and again and again, thinking that it's making me free. You must have seen the addicts, the alcoholics, smokers, drug addicts, addicts of anything that gives pleasure, for momentary pleasure. What do they think? Oh, I'm free to drink, so I'm drinking. Well, that poor thing is chained to that bottle of bitter stuff. The smoker says, I'm free to smoke anytime I want. Doctor said this, my parents said this, or my family and child is suffering from the passive smoking. I don't care. I'm free to do whatever I want. If they don't want me, they can leave me. So, you see, it is stupidity of the highest kind because that person is totally bound to the nicotine, the substance. They're bound to the alcohol, the substance. Or they're bound to a person or a place or whatever, thing, objects. So, no, this kind of thinking that I'm free because I can do whatever I want, it is bondage. And you will see that it fools the ego for a while, but ultimately it leads to suffering. It's not freedom. The real freedom is the ability to not do. And today I'm not going to go there because I've said this so many times. You can recall, you see, our discussions about the ability to reject an action. That is real freedom. Our real nature is the non-doer, the witness, the watcher. Is it doing anything? No, and therefore it is totally free. It is absolutely free. It is freedom itself. So we are already that. We are already free. The attachment with the person, the imaginary fiction of there being an individual who is capable of doing whatever he wants, that is the real bondage. So again, the freedom comes in the present. It cannot be planned. It cannot be executed. And the moment by moment life, it gives you the freedom. If you flow with whatever is coming, that is freedom. Now the freedom can be expressed in the actions. That is why there is confusion, you see, because people see the free people, the people who are really free. They are doing anything they want. They are doing anything they like to do. And this ignorant person thinks, oh, that means I cannot do this. That means I'm not free. I'm not free. I'm not free. I need to be like that person who is doing that thing. Now, this is ignorance, isn't it? What that free person is doing is actually an expression of his or her freedom. He's expressing it by various means, not bound to one thing. And people see that, they want to copy that, and then they get bound to that thing. So, express your freedom, express your happiness. Do not try to make those expressions as the sources of the happiness and freedom. It is a very subtle thing. It took me a long time, many, many years to understand. It's a small thing, isn't it? But we do not know this art of living. It is lost. It is not in the society. Even your parents don't know it. That's why they're miserable. That's why they made your life miserable. Because this is lost. This is just ignorance. It can be removed in one day. Very few lucky people will get it. So once you start getting it, that is progress. It is not more and more knowledge. It is not more and more experiences of the spiritual kind. If you are getting more and more knowledge, you're not progressing. Now, this can come as a shock for the newcomer because I keep asking people, get more knowledge. See, knowledge is the key. And now I'm saying, no knowledge. If you get more knowledge, that is not progress. That confusion is because, again, people think that knowledge is accumulation of facts, accumulation of experiences. Because when I say knowledge comes from the experience, and the people run around to get more and more experience of this kind, of that kind. Oh, I went there also. I went to that temple also. I went to that guru also. I watched 1,000 hours of videos and I read this big book. Now, where is your knowledge? Has it resulted in any kind of equanimity, any kind of freedom, any kind of non-doership? Then, if not, then no progress there, you see. Knowledge is not accumulating of experiences. The only experience that you need to have is the one that is right now, right here, that you are having right now. Is there any other experience which can bring knowledge? Whatever you're accumulating is coming from outside, isn't it? You can go on accumulating. There is no end. And I'm not saying it is bad. It is not bad. It is the nature of the mind. This jeev, it is an accumulation. Why is it an accumulation? Because that's what it does. It accumulates. It accumulates stuff, memories, experiences. It's a collection of impressions only. It is not bad. It is a cosmic being. It is an event in the universe. How can it be bad? It is perfect. Accumulation is not knowledge, but what is the criteria of progress then, as far as knowledge is considered? And you can have any criteria you want. There is no rule here, but my personal favorite is when your questions start dropping. When your questions, they become less and less and less. Not because you're becoming stupid and dumb. Not you see, there are extreme ends of the scale where they meet. When you cannot differentiate between a very innocent person who has no questions at all, like your dog. The dog never asks any questions. Happy dog. And there is the extreme end of the scale. You can picture it as a circle, actually, not a line where the state of the mind of innocence meets the state of the mind of a Gyani, of a knower, of a sage. They're same. Outwardly, they look same, but in an innocent person, the ignorance is so deep, you see, that it appears as innocence. There are no questions. And in the mind of the sage also, there are no questions. Or if anything comes, the answer appears with the question instantly. So that is progress. From no questions, no doubts, to extreme doubt, extreme questions, and then back to no questions. Peaceful mind again. So that's why my, advice, I cannot call it a teaching. Teaching is one-to-one always. You cannot just speak it like this. So the advice that hunt for knowledge, gather knowledge, more knowledge, good for you. Knowledge comes from the experience. Get it. Anyhow, that one is for those who are not even asking any questions, especially those who are suffering because they never questioned anything. That advice is for them. That practice, inquiry is for them who never question, who just, buried under blind beliefs of all kind. Whatever the society has fed them, and they dumbed them down, actually made them so dull and dark. There is no light there. There is a body that does all these, the biological activities are going on in the body, and people think he is alive. But no life there. If you look into the eyes of that person, there is no life there. Nothing going on there, because the society has sedated that mind. And for them, this is the advice. Activate your intelligence, activate the intellect, and start questioning. Even for some, I'll just go ahead and sometimes I'll tell them, activate the ego. In some people, the ego is also dead. They don't want to achieve anything of material nature also. Dead, totally. And how can they make any progress? Because it starts from the bottom, isn't it? The progress of the Jeev starts from the bottom. Don't think that a person who is freshly into the human lineage, freshly into the human birth, don't think that he will next day will go and become a Gyani, like instantly. Read the Raman Maharshi, okay, become Gyani. No, it's not possible. It's not possible. The progress of the Jeev starts from the bottom. That brings us into the spiritual evolution, you see. That brings us to the illusion of progress. And for many people, evolution is progress. So for such people who are just fresh, then I cannot prescribe them the criteria of happiness and freedom, because they are dead. They are inactive totally. They are not even living their lives completely. For such people, the path of action is prescribed. You don't just sit there, because the Jeev needs to get the required experience to fulfill the human life. Otherwise, it will drop down. It will go back to the mineral kingdom. So we don't want that. We can see our own progress happened like this. Our own evolution happened like this. So this is prescribed that please go and do something, achieve something, earn money, get the job, get a family, and reproduce, produce children, become something in the society, achieve something in the society. Path of action is for them. Sometimes my talk will appear very conflicting, contradictory. Yesterday he was saying that you don't need to do anything. You are the bliss, you are the freedom. Today he's telling me to go and do something in the world. Oh, he knows nothing. He's not the proper guru. And you go to the best guru in the town and he will say exactly the same thing. Why do I say all these things? Because I have done that. I went to many gurus. I also thought that the teaching needs to be one kind and one kind only. You see, this, I'll take a brief diversion here. Why do we think like this? This can be educating. And the problem is our education. When we are kind of brainwashed in the school, we are told that, look, this thing which is written in the book is the only thing, is the only view that exists in the world. There is nothing else, isn't it? The history that you study in the school is the only history that exists. Have you seen this? Have you questioned this? And no, these definitions of the economy and this definition of the GDP, this definition, whatever is your subject, you need to like parrot it, and you get only one correct answer. If you write something else, you get big zero and you fail. So this is our kind of upbringing. This is the brainwashing that has happened because we are a part of this society. And I'm not saying that don't do this, because if you don't do even schooling, then the kind of it's a big limitation. You will fail in the jungle of the society. So your parents, they beat you, they drag you to the school. That is good for you. It's not totally bad, because that is the starting point. But for many people, their progress stopped there after their school. They do not know anything beyond whatever was fed into their mind. So for such people, different teachings are there. The teachings say that question everything. Once the questions start coming, then you can say, oh, he's making some progress. Today he asked something which was really intelligent and thought-provoking. Very good progress. That is how your guru is going to encourage you. But you see, there is a surprise for you there if you're on the path of knowledge. If you keep questioning for many, many years, something is wrong, isn't it? How come you're not getting any answers now? Why are you going in loops now? The same question appears in a different form again and again. So now the guru will change his tune and will say, you are not progressing. So many questions are there. Your mind is so active. It is, running like a factory. Shut it down. Sit down. Meditate. Stop questioning. Look. Get the direct experience. Start experiencing instead of intellectual regurgitation of the same thing going on in the mind. The guru will tell you, stop doing that. You need to simply look, and will actually bring you to the witnessing phase, after the questioning phase. And here your questions will start dropping. And now I can say that now you're making a progress. Now you're making some progress, because as soon as the question comes, the answer comes with it. The answer is in the form of just a destruction of the question. Whatever I thought is not true. That's all will be the answer. There is nothing to know. So if you picture it as a circle, you will understand. Picture the progress as a circle. So you start at one point and then go around the circle and you come back to that point. And so you will find the extremely advanced, evolved minds. They are very innocent. They are childlike. If you bring to them the questions that, sir, what is the mechanism of creation of the universes? And they will laugh. And they'll say, what do you think about the Higgs boson and the recent experiment in physics? And they will laugh. They will say, what do I need to know about this? I don't know anything about this. Sometimes just for entertainment, they will say something. They appear as ordinary villagers sometimes. So we will be confused. An ordinary person will be confused. Like, how is it possible? This person is supposed to know everything. And he talks like a layman when it comes to the questions about the sophisticated philosophical and scientific topics. He knows nothing at all. What is the reason? Can anybody guess? Anybody wants to comment? Is it progress? Am I misguiding you? On the path of knowledge, yes. Happiness and freedom, yes. But shouldn't I get more knowledge? Shouldn't I become all-knowing? Sometimes I say the self-inquiry, the method of returning to the current experience will answer all the questions. And then people think that all means I'm going to know what is happening in my neighbor's house, let us say, or what is happening in the other country, or what that other person is thinking, or I'll know, I can invent something new, I can discover something new, I'll know all the answers pertaining to my subject, whatever subject the person is interested in, field of study. I'll be able to, suppose the person is a doctor, he will think that I'll be able to discover a new medicine, new cure, new surgical process for some disease. This just will not happen, does not happen. as you know already. So is this false that you will know everything by self-inquiry? What do people think? Are there any comments? Let me see if, yes, some people are there in the call. Very silent today. So I think Mukul has some comments. All knowledge is conceptual. Knowledge is duality. So yes, very nice. So once you start knowing, you see, let us go into the details of the progress here on the path of knowledge. Once you start knowing, more and more questions will start popping in your mind. And once you start looking, which means experiencing whatever is right now, right here, the present moment, the questions will start disappearing because this play will be seen as a play of the mind. That is why Mukul is saying it is conceptual. It is all in the mind. All the knowledge is in the mind. That which is beyond knowledge. And slowly you will find, if your inquiry progresses, if this trend continues, this is the right direction, and if the questions they keep on coming, that means you will go in circles. How many questions can there be? Ultimately, it turns back and repeats. Everything repeats. That means you need a guru. Now you need an assistance on in your inquiry. And if you're really progressing, then the questions they start dropping because experience, the direct experience, the witnessing takes the place of questioning and conceptualizing, intellectualizing, and thinking. Witnessing comes. The witnessing has the answer. The silence has all the answers. You see, when I say you get all the answers, that means not in the form of concepts, not in the form of ideas. You get the answers in the form of direct knowing, simply witnessing. So once you witness, you will see that you cannot question it, because as soon as you question it, the question will fall down as an experience that arose in the mind, and then you come back to the witnessing. You're not interested at all in finding the answer, because the witnessing has the answer, is the answer actually. And you see, the oneness is there when the asker and the knower, they become one. So right now there are two, the one who is who has the question, and one who has the answer, the one who knows and the one who does not know. And when this gap is bridged, there is no duality. The knower is the known. And so, where is the question? Where is the question now? What is known? Absolutely nothing. As long as there is the object of knowledge, there will be questions. As soon as the object becomes the subject, the duality disappears. Now there is no question and there is no answer also. You don't need the answer now. So this is progress, isn't it? This is progress. And that's why those who have progressed so much, they are not going to ask anything. They're not interested in knowing anything also. And outwardly, they will look like as if they're ignorant. He does not know anything. He does not know the latest that is going on in the world. What has happened is that person or that seeker has gone through it, has crossed the jungle of knowledge. There was a time when he knew all the minute details about everything under the sky. If you don't see it in this life, don't worry. He has done that in some other life. And therefore, they are not so interested in knowing. They are interested in being. They are looking. They are witnessing. When the knowledge is knowledge of the self, then there is no knowledge. What is there to know in the self which has no qualities, which has no extension, which has no hidden parts, you see? And then some people may ask, no, what about the parts that appear? And the Jnani will dismiss everything that appears as illusion, you see. It's not worth knowing. Then people can make this kind of error here that, oh, look, that highly advanced person says nothing is worth knowing, so I'll just sit here and not know. Well, you need to see where you are. If you are below the threshold where you are not even questioning, then probably this is the wrong thought. You need to know. Go into the details. Go into the minute details. Go into the illusion. Go into the appearance. Get as much knowledge as you can. When you're saturated with that, you will come out as, not wanting any of that. Because I have done that. And fortunately, I had to, cross this phase quickly, like in a few years, 5 or 6 years. Now I don't want to go into details of anything. Even it looks like as if nothing is new in the world. And that can sound really depressing, but it is like freeing for me that, oh, there is something which I did not know, and it is also old. it, it is also useless. So you see, to put it into short, summarize it, there are two phases of progress on the path of knowledge. The first is where you need to gather knowledge, where you need to know everything. And the second phase is you need to drop all that. You need to become empty again. There is nothing to know. So it depends. Probably there are in-between phases, but this is how the circle completes. In the end, you know that I am the witness of the ignorance. I am the witness of the knowledge. Knowledge is ignorance. End. Period. There's nothing beyond this. You must have noticed that when there are no questions, the person is blissful. Ignorance is bliss. Happy in the day-to-day things. Happy in the day-to-day struggle. Very tiny goals. And they achieve that goals. And so on. Life is expressing itself. And therefore, we do not say that this person is, ignorant. We call such people innocent, like child. So it's okay. It's fine. All the sorrow, all the joy, everything is okay. We see it as expression of the life. We do not teach that person to go and, do something. You're living a miserable, ignorant life. No. Do not interfere in that life. It's perfect already. What happens is halfway through the journey that the Jeev accumulates a little bit of knowledge. And half knowledge is a dangerous thing. It gives rise to suffering. So on my blog, there is an article where I cooked up a story of a person who was so innocent he did not know the value of gold and was happy in whatever he was doing. And he gained a little bit of knowledge that gold brings happiness and gold is the source of prosperity and everybody worships me if I get the gold. This is knowledge, isn't it? This is true, isn't it? But he gets it, and then misery appears because poor and miserable runs after becoming rich. You can read that story, and this kind of knowledge, the half knowledge, is really dangerous. That brings all the suffering. What has happened from a spiritual angle is that the knowledge has appeared in me, that I am this body, I am this individual, and this world is real. And I need to do something in order to be happy, in order to fulfill this life, in order to be free. This knowledge has appeared here. Isn't this knowledge? Yes, it is. You can go on refining it now. No, not the worldly positions, not the people and relations. Intellectual achievements. I need to become this and that. Service to the humanity. Protection of the environment. This is knowledge, isn't it? And you see, they are all miserable people. Now, it is only a phase. So, knowledge appeared, with it, ignorance appears, and then it completes again. So, all this struggle is dropped, the perfection is seen, and no knowledge, no knowledge now, knows nothing at all, and the need to know also drops. So, you can see it like a rise, and then like a return to innocence, back home. And therefore, the Gyani is doing ordinary things, cooks and washes and cleans. That is all. Not interested in anything else. So sometimes his intellectual layers are active and he will study the scripture and give you a discourse on this thing and that thing. That is another thing. That is the Leela. Now that is the play. He does it because he enjoys it. Now, does that mean that he dropped? Does that mean that he has fallen into the knowledge again? No. Now the silence is expressing. That's all. Instead of expression from the ego, it is expression of the whole. So it is beautiful, isn't it? You can actually see it. You can see the difference between a person who knows a lot and delivering the lecture in some college or something, and you can see a person who knows nothing and is also talking on the same subject. There is a lot of difference. The first one is trying to show off his knowledge, and if you cut him off, if you ask a question, if you say, then no sir, you're wrong here, and then the ego gets disturbed. Such people do not like to be called wrong, and it is a phase in the life of a seeker on the path of knowledge. It will happen to everybody. Don't worry. Don't worry. Go back to the humble old Gyani. Learn from him. So you can see the beauty in not knowing, and you can see the ugliness of the knowledge. There is a lot of ego in knowledge. There is no ego at all in not knowing. Not knowing is not ignorance. Knowledge is ignorance. So depends on which phase you are in, which phase of the moon you are in. So try to take this teaching from that angle. You do not, if you are beginning, do not think that knowledge is ignorance. I don't want knowledge. No. You want knowledge. Till you see that, yes, it is ignorance. Yes, everything is just concepts. Everything is a play in the mind. And the oneness or the reality or the Brahman has no need to know anything. Why? Because there is nothing to know here. Nothing to know in this existence. It is very pure. It is Nirgun. What are you going to know when it is Nirgun? What is there to know in the Nirgun? The equanimity is a result of not knowing. It's not a result of knowledge. It is a result of relinquishing the quest to know everything. That is the peace and happiness for a Gyani. Oh, I don't need to know that. And wow, it is the freedom, isn't it? So hopefully that clears up the question about progress. What are the indicators of the progress? It boils down to happiness and freedom. No matter how long route you take to arrive, you will arrive here only. Happiness and freedom. Now let us go back to the question of spiritual evolution. Probably I don't need to say a lot about spiritual evolution. You got the hint that it goes into a phase of complexity first before it simplifies itself. This is the nature of the mind. And therefore the evolution is not like an arrow from one place to another. It is like an expansion. Evolution is like an expansion. So let me see any comments here. Yes, Manjunath is saying, I do not want to go in the jungle of knowledge and lost the way. So for such people, don't take the path of knowledge. If you're beginning, don't take the path of knowledge. It is scary for you. Take another path. Go to the devotional paths. There you don't need to know anything. You don't need anything. You need to surrender. The devotee has already become the Gyani. Surrender. True surrender is not knowing, not demanding knowledge. So find another path which suits your personality. Some people are, no, it's too boring. So go to the path of action or yogic paths, tantric paths, kundalini, whatever you see, you like. You should choose that which you love. You should not choose something which people think is good. No, that is total BS. People think so many things. Nothing is good here. Nothing is bad. Okay, Anil has a comment now. Why is Vairagya looked upon as something bad in society? An escape. Escape from duties, especially when we realize the Nirgun and see there is nothing to do really. Is there any duty for the awakened? Amazing question. You see, this is what I call progress. I was talking about this thing. Very thought-provoking. Vairagya is bad. If you have too many responsibilities, if you are too deep in the dirt of the society, then Vairagya is bad. Then you need to fulfill the duty. Then you need to come out of this quicksand of society. Society you can translate as sansar. That which appears is sansar. So that is the short answer. If you are totally trapped in the society, then yes, it is very bad. Do not leave it. Do not excuse yourself out of it because you are spiritual. Now it means nothing to me. You see, you made a mistake of going into the society. Look at it like this. Why are you in the society? Your mistake, isn't it? So if you have abandoned the sansar or the society from the beginning, then nobody will think it is bad. If you are in the middle of the sansaric life, fulfill it, get rid of it by doing that which is necessary. For example, you have a family, you have a wife, you have old parents, and you have a job, and you have some social duties also, and you are young, let us say. Now, suddenly some guru comes and tells you, "Oh, well, there's no meaning in this world. It is an illusion." And actually, you are awakened enough to find it as your experience. Now, should we give the intellect a rest here? Oh, this all meaningless life. I need to go and sit in the cave. I need to be in the bliss of the samadhi all the time. This means that premature awakening has happened. This means the Guru did not prepare you. The Guru did not see your background. The Guru did not do an evaluation of the mind. The Guru delivered the truth. That is what happens on the path of knowledge, isn't it? But on the path of knowledge, we do not prescribe Vairagya also. Have you seen anybody? Have you seen any teacher who prescribes Vairagya for the Gyani? No. We say, get into the nitty-gritty of the world. Remain there. Remain in the marketplace. If you are in the marketplace, if you have, excused yourself from this mess, go back there. That is what is the teaching on the path of knowledge. But let us take the case of somebody who has no interest at all, not even a micron of interest there in the society. For such people, we do not tell them to do your duties. Go and marry. Go and do the job. Go and do something for the society. Go and do the service. We do not tell that person anything because he did not put his feet into the mud. He is pure. Why would you want to corrupt such a person? And let me tell you, such people are very rare. Very, very rare. So what has happened in India actually, there is a mixture of all the traditions here. So the sannyas tradition got mixed with the grihasth tradition, householder. The path for the householder turns into the path of sannyas. Sannyas turns into householder. You must have seen. The sannyasi suddenly gets a desire to marry, finds a very beautiful woman, falls for the woman. And it has become kind of a mixture here. And then you will find comments from both sides. Oh, look at the sannyasi. He has fallen. He has become a householder now. What is bad in that? And then totally good householder, very successful, material successful person, leaves everything, leaves the family. And then people scold him also. Look at the person. He left his family. And people have scolded Gautam Buddha, for example, for that. People have scolded Ram for that. And people have bad-mouthed Krishna for that. What kind of yogi is he? He keeps, dances with his 1,000 wives. You call him yogi? No, that's not the definition of yogi. He told Arjun to kill his own brothers and sisters and teachers. You call him the world teacher? What kind of teacher is? So you say everything has mixed here, and so there is natural for such questions to arise. What is good here? What is bad here? No, there is nothing like this. You see, now the detailed answers will depend on the background of the person. Just like I said, the Guru should do a little bit of evaluation. How much is he in the society, in the trap of the society? How deep is the karmic bondage? And prescribe the teaching. Do not prescribe Vairagya willy-nilly because it is the good thing to do. No, there is nothing good, nothing bad. It depends on the situation. It will be treated as an escape if you run away from your responsibility, the social responsibilities, because you can escape. I'm not saying you cannot. You can escape right now. It's not bad. There is no ethics involved in the spiritual traditions. What happens is that the same karmic bondage will appear in the next birth, in the form of next birth. If you don't do it there also, next birth. So it is not freedom, really. Traditionally, it is not mukti. Vairagya is not mukti. So go through it. Go through the life as an ordinary person. What is wrong in that? As a witness, you can be anything. It's total freedom here. Uh, to whom vairagya is to be prescribed? Who has 20 wives? Who has 50 children? Who is killing people? Who is asking for more and more land? And who is treating the old and the wise people badly? Vairagya is to be prescribed for that person. This happened in the life of Gautam Buddha. So much extreme artificial life was created for him that the pendulum, when it swings towards extreme. Then this is the law, as you know. This is the law that if you do extreme of one thing, it has to swing to the other extreme. This law of the mind, you cannot escape it. So for such people, very naturally, the vairagya happens. This happened for the Ashok, the king Ashok also. He went to the extreme. He became a brutal ruler. What happened? Same thing happened. So such extreme stories are kind of lessons for us. Don't go to the extreme. If you are in the society, and if you don't go into the extremes of the society, if you are not totally corrupted by the society, then there is no need to take vairagya. There is no need to leave the society. You keep one foot in the society, and then you are living a balanced life in the world, not of the world. So this is the Mool Mantra. And yes, there will be some people who will tell you that this is right, this is wrong. No, you don't need to listen to them. Listen to your guru. If your guru is very competent, he will advise you correctly, depending on your situation. If you read in that book and this book, and somebody said in this video that, oh, everybody needs to be celibate, vairagi and sannyasi, everybody needs to be in the ashram, that's not, wherever the word everybody comes, you can simply kick it out, discard it. Spiritual journey is very personal, very subjective, depends on the kind of the mind. That's why you see, I went to this trouble of many hours of describing how to evaluate yourself, because it looks like the teachers have themselves forgotten the art of evaluation of the minds. Now, everybody is selling their product. Do your self-evaluation, and we learn from our mistakes. I did not know all these things, and I thought it's a waste of time. You need to pick a path and then stick to the path. So evaluation, well, it's not, it is for the dummies who do not know. I know what I am, and so I can decide what, this is kind of too much knowledge, you see. And you need to clear the slate, start from the beginning, evaluate the conditions, and then you can decide what is right, what is wrong, and it will be subjective. It will depend, it will vary from person to person. When you realize that there is nothing to do because the nature of the existence is nothingness, emptiness, then start doing. That is the true non-action. When you realize that I am not really doing, that is the true non-action. Sitting at one place, not doing anything, escaping everything, that is stupidity. That is another kind of action only. We have covered all these subjects, isn't it? So the duty for the awakened. Is there any duty for the awakened? Yes. The duty for the awakened is that which is equal to the duty for the ordinary. The ordinary is awakened. The ordinary is happening in the extraordinary. Do that which is necessary. Do that which you like most. That is the only duty. If the Guru has prescribed some special duties, it is probably because he wants to correct something in the mind. And that will depend on that kind of mind. And please, do not generalize it. Gross generalization. It's sweeping generalization. It never works in the spiritual business. Very specific duty will be given. And then you must ask the Guru, why did you prescribe this duty to me? Blind faith is one thing, you see. If you trust your Guru so much, then no need to ask, because you know why that job was given to me. And if you do not know, you can ask. Be free, Do not be afraid of asking, and do not reject the duty that is given without thinking about it. So I remember one thing that I joined somebody and I found the lectures very entertaining, very educating, but I used to just go and sit there. So one day when volunteer came to me and he said, the Guru has told you to always do the cleanup before the meeting starts and after the meeting ends. My job was to arrange the chairs and then remove everything, clean up everything. And I had a big ego probably because I did not like this thing. I said, I did not pay. I did not come here. I'm not wasting my time to do these things. The thing is, only because of the respect and only because I saw that other volunteers were doing their job, whatever was given to them, I out of just kindness, I did not like it, but I did it, and I saw that after 7 days of doing it, there was a little bit of calmness in my mind. I was a little bit more receptive. Suddenly the plans dropped, all the plans that I made. I came here for this. I want to get this. Everything dropped. And my job was to simply bring the chairs from here and here to there. I enjoyed that. So probably the Guru saw something. Guru wanted to clear something. It is a small example, but if I stayed with that Guru for long, probably she would have cleared many things from my mind. Within few months, she could have purified my mind. But unfortunately, something odd happened there and I could not continue. So I had to leave. But I got the lesson. That there is some reason for these prescriptions of the duties that the Guru will tell you. There was a stupid thing that I did, that I said, let me find out if I can achieve the same kind of results by doing something myself. So I started donating things. I started giving donations because I thought probably I'm too much attached to the money, but it all backfired. The answers came later, that no, the student cannot, because he's too stupid, cannot decide what is the right duty. Student cannot decide. Only the one who is more experienced can decide. Only the one who has looked into your mind has the authority to prescribe the duty. So, very much dependent on the person, very much dependent on the Guru, and don't assume that all Gurus are going to know what is correct for me, what is the correct duty for me. No, very rare. So very rare. You will need to go through few Gurus to find the right one actually knows you, like the doctor knows your body, like your family doctor knows all the illnesses in your family. And then you should have a Guru like that. If you have that kind of Guru, you're very fortunate, because your progress will be very fast. So Anil has one more question. Is there any karma for a Jivan Mukt? Body mind still exists, but the identification is now with the non-dual. Body mind still performs karma in this dualistic realm. Shouldn't it bound the Jeev? Well, another good question. When you say Jivan Mukt, the Jeev never becomes Mukt. The individual mind never achieves freedom. Who achieves freedom? Who becomes the Mukt? That which is already free, that which is already liberated, realizes its liberation. That is what is Jivan Mukt. That which is already free, is it bound by the karmic stuff, karmic laws? No, it is the witness of all the karmic stuff. So a mind in which this realization has happened, there is, we call that mind Jivan Mukt. And outwardly it will look like that, that person, that individual, which is no more an individual now, totally destroyed, for the name's sake only, it is there. It is doing all things, everything, all the actions, all the duties, all this karmic stuff is going on. He has the relations, he has projects, he has plans. It looks like, but the ignorance is not there. There is no ignorance there. It is seen as the Leela, it is seen as the play, it is seen as the drama of the existence. So it is done. Freedom is not freedom from karma. There is no such freedom. The freedom is always disidentification from that which has the karma. You can see it right now. You can become Jivan Mukt right now in 1 minute. Who has the karma? Who has the conditioning? Who gathers the impression? Not I, not the self. The mind, the chit, the Jeev. So as soon as this realization comes, the Karma is seen as the universal karma, not mine. What is the problem in the karma? Because you own it. That is the only problem. It is not ugly. It is not disgusting. It is. You do not need to get rid of it. And let me tell you the secret. You cannot get rid of it. It's not possible. You can get rid of the identification with it. You shift your identification from the individual to the whole, as good as getting rid of it. See, 1 minute, you are Jivan Mukta now. And the problem is to come to this, you will need to you will need to go through many hoops. It sounds so easy, isn't it? Now, Jiva, yes, Anil got it, you see. And it is very easy. Anybody can get it. Jivan Mukta is not somebody who you need to glorify and worship as the God. No, everybody is Jivan Mukta. The problem is those who do not know, they will think that, oh, Jivan Mukti is something big. I need to achieve this in my current life. And they try to free the mind. No. Get rid of the mind. What? How can you free it? How can you free whose existence is bondage? Because it is a structure. It must be bound by the laws. And the laws are the karmic laws. Is there anything except the karmic laws that defines the structure of the jiv? No karma, dissolution of the jiv. The dissolution happens as an abandonment of the individuality, not as a destruction of the jiv. I do not prefer destruction because that is not the flow. That is not the flow of the universe. You can destroy it. It is not a big deal, isn't it? But let us see. Let us look at our own experience. How many yogis have destroyed the karmic structure? Many, isn't it? Thousands of them in this land. They have become totally free. They have become liberated. There is not even a trace of the jiv there. What does that mean? But whether the whole, has it stopped appearing in the form of jiv, whether the jivan was destroyed, is the life form is not there, is the life not there? Can you destroy the life? The very existence is the life. This witnessing consciousness is the life. When it appears in the forms, can you destroy it? Can you? No, not possible. That is again a dualistic view that I am liberated. I am Jivan. No. If there is I am there, then now you are bound. You are not liberated. If you want to destroy something, destroy the I am, the individual. And now there is no problem. Now the life can happen. Now the jiv can appear in any forms. Now the karmic structures can be there. It is beautiful. The whole manifestation is perfection and beauty. Do you want to destroy it? I mean, it's your preference. Yes, the individual can be destroyed. And it is not really destroyed because we see it as not being there. You can see it right now. The individual is not there. Examine it critically. Question it. Try to see it as your own experience. You will never find the individual. And this is all concepts, you see. All conceptual things. All an idea. All these ideas in the mind, they need to be dropped. And they should not be dropped just because somebody said it. There is no individual. Now you are mukt. It is BS. It does not happen like this. Examine, inquire about the individual. The whole self-inquiry is not the inquiry of the self. It is inquiry into the nature of the I. Who am I? And the student, the seeker will start from the individual, isn't it? What do we do in the inquiry? Neti, not this. This is the progressive destruction of the individual. Start from the body. Start from the organs. Start from the processes in the body. Start from the energies, the sheaths, whatever model you prefer of the body. Eastern, Western, Northern, Southern. There are many. Destroy them all. Then finally the jiv. So the karma is not destroyed. Bad news. But the good news is it is seen as not mine, no individual. That will free you. The evolution of the jiv continues, and we then take it as an offering, as a gift, as a prasad. This life is taken as a gift so that we can have this experience. That which is having the experience wants to have the experience, we say, and so we become the instrument of the experiencer. We means this jiv, the body mind, and it expands to include everything. It is not destroyed. Expansion is thinning out of the jiv. It becomes everything from the small point. It becomes circle, bigger, 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 and then it becomes the whole. So I've shown this in some animation or some drawing, which I do not recall. In some kind of long discussion happened in this evolution, where I probably it was the Hindi series, where I told that the evolution is not like an arrow. It does not go from one place to the other, and it is not like becoming superior from the inferior, or it is not becoming greater from the small. It is like an expansion into the wholeness, returning to the wholeness, like from this narrow view that I am this tiny individual to I am everything. This is the evolution. So there is one more criteria for progress from, we are discussing about how to gauge your progress. What are the scale on which the progress should be gauged? And it is this, how expanded you are, how inclusive you are becoming. It has a direct connection to the happiness and freedom. Look at the freedom of the individual and look at the freedom of the whole. How much it is expressing, how much it is doing, how blissful it is. So when you expand like this, when the circle of the individual becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, it is manifested in the form of happiness and freedom, nothing else. You see, the answer was not wrong. You can approach it like this also. Your spiritual evolution of the jiva is progress. How do you know the jiva is progressing? Again, the criteria is happiness and freedom. Is it happy now? No. When will be it happy? After fulfillment of all the desires? No, never. It is happy when it says that they are not my desires and all desires are mine. Everybody is happy, so I am happy because I am everybody. Has it happened? No. That means you need to progress. Don't be satisfied with knowing that I am everything, because that knowledge also appears and then goes. You need to be steady in that knowledge. You see, there is no free lunch in spirituality. So you can go through the path of efforts, like tiny bit of progress, one day, one step, or you can go through the direct path, the path of knowledge, where you realize that I am everything, and then this nectar will drip down. It will seep into the karmic structures. It purify. The knowledge will purify. And the good news is you don't need to do anything. The knowledge will purify. The knowledge will expand the jiv. The knowledge will free the jiv from this bondage, which the freedom will be seen as not this, not this. Again and again and again. Whenever you are in doubt, you should ask this question. Who is asking? Who is not free? This is self-inquiry. Okay, Anil is saying, each reincarnation starts with ignorance for the realized. So does the future reincarnation starts with vidya of true self or ignorance? Since you said karma never ends until the whole universe mind is dissolved, what about reincarnations of the jiv who had already realized the liberation? There is a traditional view in our path that once you realize that I am not the body, the incarnation stops. There won't be any incarnation for that. It does not mean that there won't be any body at all, but the human body is gone. He's asking whether it will start with the vidya of the true self, that is knowledge of the true self. Probably not. Probably because the jiv does not have this knowledge, isn't it? It is kind of, there won't be this realization from the birth, because the birth is a result of ignorance, isn't it? The birth is a result of ignorance. If there is this realization that I am not the body, then the birth will not be there. It is kind of difficult to explain because it is not the experience of many of us. So the view here is, and the popular belief here is, that as soon as there is this realization, the next birth is impossible, as a human at least. But since there are tendencies in the mind, it will take a form of some kind. Since these good impressions are there, the good sanskars are there, it will again find a path. and it will again realize their true self. And it will go on and on till no more forms, then till no more forms are taken as an individual. So there is this path of reincarnations, if you want to call it. There are more and more refined incarnations, and that is the natural evolution. That is what is actually happening, but you can speed it up by taking a spiritual path, any path that suits you. So that once this tendency has been put in the mind is nothing a bundle of tendencies. A tendency to seek is now encoded in the mind, is impressed on the mind. Now any form it takes, it gravitates towards a path. It gravitates naturally towards spirituality or liberation. So it is like sand. If you want to hold the sand tight in your grip, and it will escape. So a free mind becomes like this. It will escape no matter where it is trapped. It will find a way out. So the hold of the Maya is now gone. Now it will do it for fun, that is for pleasure, for knowledge, wants to study the Maya, or for the benefit of others, like a Bodhisattva. It will come back to teach others. So it is, once I say liberation, that means there is a control over taking forms. It is not a disability that, no, I cannot take any form, I am liberated now. No. Liberation means there is a freedom to be in the form, not be in the form. Be in any form you want. You must have heard the stories of great rishis and the great devs, the bright ones, who can take any form they want. And you think it is, what kind of magic is this? I want this shape-shifting ability. And the thing is, they have realized that I am not the form, therefore they can take any form. And that is kind of complicated here, because those who have realized that I am not the form are not individuals. I have a different word for them. Probably you will understand that word, and I call them the group minds, because they are a group of the mind. All the forms are within their control in that group. So as I said, they have expanded into something bigger, which is now beyond human grasp. We see everything as individuals. We see everything as entities. No, they can appear as entities, but not an entity. It is something big. It is something for which we do not have words in our languages. So I keep calling it this or that. But these words do, sometimes the soul disc, sometimes the group mind, sometimes the dev, sometimes the rishi. Well, these words, obviously nobody's going to understand them because you've never seen it. But they are my, failed attempt to describe an entity, something which is not an individual, still appears as individual, still can take the form, has totally decimated, totally destroyed the ignorance, still appears as ignorant, this form or that form. Now it is kind of beyond us, beyond humans. So what will be the teaching here? What will your guru say? Well, if you become liberated, won't be any reincarnation for you. Won't be. You are not going to reincarnate with Vidya, without Vidya. No, zero reincarnations. That is a simplified teaching that you can understand, isn't it? You can understand that. So even if there is one thought of individuality, I am thinking this, and even if you don't have a body, still it is an incarnation. Still it will be considered as getting into a form. Now let us not go there. It's kind of beyond our understanding. But those who are doing the practices of astral projection, like I recommend, highly recommended, because these practices will answer these questions. What happens when you're not a form? When you're not this form, this human form, what happens when you're formless point of consciousness in the universal mind? Have you noticed? You can take any form. Yes, it is bound by whatever you know, but you can take any form. This is your own experience. That's why sometimes I recommend, go into the Sukshma Sharir, go into the subtle bodies. They are not bodies. They are formless. They precipitate into a form whenever there is a need. You are visiting a world where everybody looks like crows, black crows. You will find that just because of these impressions, the consciousness assumes the form of a crow there. So I hope you get it. because this play continues, and this until the universal mind is dissolved. Yes, play continues, and the only difference is that you're not bound to take a form. Right now we are bound in the human form. We cannot take another birth in another form. We cannot die because it's kind of bondage. There is no freedom. Because all that the mind knows, all that the Jeev knows is the human form. It has this siddhi, it has this power to appear as a human body again and again and again. That is what it is doing. And let me tell you, the individual cannot reincarnate. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm actually, instead of clarifying the question, I'm confusing, because this is the knowledge of the Maya. This is the knowledge of the illusion. You will need to keep your eyes open here a little bit. It's all illusion. So the reincarnation is also an illusion. And the reincarnation of individual is double illusion. It is the ignorance that I am the one who is reincarnating, isn't it? No, the whole reincarnates. The whole takes the form. That is our experience. That is my experience. That is the experience of anybody who is on the energetic paths or in the experiments, the tantric path, the experiments of the subtle body. You will see it as your own experience. So the individual cannot project out of the body. It's impossible. The group mind withdraws its attention from the individual body. This is the whole astral projection. And then whatever is the tendency, it again kind of crystallizes back, like, evaporates and then becomes formless and then crystallizes back. This is the Maya. This is actually, I'm giving you the secret here, that how it all works. How come you are in the form now? How come you are in the human body now? You are not, you never decided. You don't even remember. You have never experienced deciding to come into a form, isn't it? The form appeared. The individual appeared. The incarnation appeared. It was not you who did it. And that is why whenever people try to talk about their past lives, I call it stupidity. Actually, that is what I answered recently. If you go into the logs of the self-inquiry website, there was a question. What do you think about the PLR? Is it real? The past life regression. I was kind of pissed. I was kind of irritated, I just wrote one word, stupidity. And that is because I don't like to go into such things until and unless you know what is it that reincarnates. Once you know that it is not I who has reincarnated, it is the whole, or you can make an abstraction of the group mind. It is the group mind that is taking the incarnation. It is not even the Jeev. There is no Jeev. So, and it makes no sense to talk about past life. I do not have a past life. I have the present life. That's all. This body mind has only one life. It happens only once. This person is never going to appear again. Do not delude yourself. Do not think that you are the reincarnation of your past self. No, the body mind cannot take birth. They are a result of birth. So what has happened here is, you see, all the mess of the reincarnation is because people do not know the real nature of themselves, which has nothing to do with incarnations, isn't it? The witness is simply witnessing all the incarnations. And secondly, there is the lack of illusion of lack of knowledge of the illusion also. How the illusion works, how the Maya works. It does not work in the form of individuals. It's kind of complicated. The Maya it gives you headache, isn't it? That's why. Don't go there. Don't go there. Who knows what will the future incarnation will be? What if the group mind decides to incarnate as a totally idiotic, cruel person? Who knows? Why is that bad? No, it is not bad. Why is that not progress? No, it is not progress. It is what it is, you see. So, I hope it is not confusing, because I know it is kind of complicated thing. Your guru will simply tell you, you won't reincarnate again. You are liberated now. Your Jivan Mukta, this life will dissipate. In the coming lives, they are going to dissipate. This is a simplified teaching. Do not stop here. Especially if you are interested in Maya, if you are interested in how the Shakti works, please do not stop here. This is a teaching that is given to pacify a mind, like a pacifier it is given. Oh, he thinks too much. And yes, the guru knows he is not able to find out what this whole business of taking forms is about. So he will simply give you a pacifier, sugar-coated teaching. Someday there will be an experience, you see. And I'm also not going into the details, and I never say that these are the true things. I say that these are the stories you need to explore. This is very interesting, very captivating. What is there in the self and consciousness and nothingness and emptiness is totally boring, isn't it? But someday you will have the experience. Someday you will get the necessary experience. So do not worry. Please do not worry about reincarnation, past lives and all. It is not the essential knowledge. It is dependent on the experience of the Jeev. Someday you will experience it. Then you can question it. How can you question that which you have never experienced? Have you questioned this experience? Mukul is saying the individual cannot envision its own end. It cannot even envision its own beginning. What are you talking about, the end? You see, it thinks the death is the end, isn't it? That is the 99.99% of individuals. They think birth is my start and death is my end. Yes, that is very true. The individual starts from the birth, individual ends in the birth. What is the individual? That is the question, isn't it? What is it that was born? What is it that died? How did it take birth? Have you questioned this? How did it even happen? Those who have progressed a little bit, they will have this kind of intuition that it is me who is born, and I'm not. You'll need to see beyond my words to have this feeling. It is this the deep intuition of me being the ancient who is appearing again. Those who have progressed, you know it deep down in your heart that you are very, very old, but you don't know. But you don't know how this happened. The individual itself is beyond the understanding of the individual, because the individual is the appearance. Something else is appearing as the individual soul. The appearance cannot understand its source. Yes, Charlie said it, you see, beyond its understanding. Do not try to understand these things. These things, you can understand the experience when it happens. And that's why the gurus will never go beyond this. You can see the Muji and all, when they start, somebody raises this question, is my suffering because of my past life? I've done some kind of sin in my in my past life. And he becomes kind of disturbed. No, don't talk about this. Your life is now, right here, right now. Is there any fault in this life right now, right here? No. Everything is just your assumptions, your beliefs. I was that in my other life. No. The individual is not here right now also. How can you say I was something else? That feeling of being ancient is coming from the group mind, is coming from the Jeev, is coming from something which is beyond the individual who is trapped in this dream, isn't it? You can study your dreams if you want. In the dream, the individual has a whole story about what the individual is, isn't it? Your dream character. It knows what he was and his plans and what he wants in this life. Everything. When you wake up, was there an individual? Was there a past life for that dream self, for the dream character? It borrowed a little bit from your waking self, isn't it? It borrowed this idea, that idea from its tendencies, and then appeared as a dream character. Is that going to reincarnate in the other dream? Is the same person? No. This will give you a little bit of hint about how complicated the illusion is and how beyond understanding it is. It cannot be understood like the logical mind. As soon as you have the experience of not being the individual, then it kind of expands and opens up. And that's why a yogi or a jnani is not worrying about next life. Okay, there is one more question. Probably this will be last because we are already running out of time. What governs the dissolution and manifestation of the universal mind? Since non-dual has no kriya, does the Maya Shakti itself govern the manifestation and dissolution of itself? Okay, anybody wants to comment on this? Those who are listening patiently. Anybody wants to answer this question? It's kind of, the answer is very simple. Okay, Anil himself has answered. It seems like sort of self-governing, intelligent structure. What governs the dissolution and manifestation of the universal mind? As soon as you are asking what, you are trying to find something which is beyond universal mind, which is above the universal mind, or which is the foundation of the universal mind, isn't it? Now, let us see. We have defined universal mind as whole of the manifestation, the whole that is manifested. So, isn't the answer is saying that the universal mind itself governs itself, isn't it? Because there is nothing besides itself. Because by definition, you have included everything there. Let me answer you in a logical way. You assume an entity, you assume a state of being, or you assume a reality which governs, which is like the universal mind is like a puppet, and it is running it. And what is that then? If it is not manifested, how can it govern anything? How can it do anything at all? How can it command anything? How can it have a will or a energy of bringing something in and dissolving something? There has to be movement, there has to be an intention, there has to be a structure, a force. And as soon as you say, yes, it has all these qualities, that means it is manifestation itself. You cannot call it the second universal mind which governs the first. That is illogical, because by definition, the universal mind is all that is manifested. What is there which is not manifested? Nothing. There is nothing. Cannot call it existence. The Brahman is nirgun. It does not exist as something which stands out. That's why we say, do not try to use your mind to know the Brahman. Whenever I say universal mind, or cut down the universal, you do not need that. I put universal so that you do not confuse it with your own mind, because we have this kind of illusion that I have a mind. No, we do not have a mind. The mind has you. You do not have a mind. The mind has an I, isn't it? The mind creates the identity. Without mind, can there be you? No. So, cut down the universal word, mind. What is it? Appearance, isn't it? All that appears. There is another word for it in English. It is called manifestation. That which appears is manifestation. The prakat. And yes, they are synonyms. If you try to find something else which causes this thing, you will fail. There is no experience of something which is controlling things. Now, why does it look like that? Yes, there was a question asked by Ajay someday. Yes, obviously, there is sometimes assumption in our minds that the aprakat, that which is unmanifested, is manifesting it. How is that possible? You see, this is the fallacy. This is some kind of illogical assumption. Why is there this need for manifestation to be governed, to be created? Why do we need a creator for the creation? This is because of our linear thinking. This is because whatever we see, we extrapolate it to the universal mind. You see, who made the tea today? Your mother. She is the creator. Who made this house? Well, the builder, your contractor, he made the house. Who made the road? The government did it. So on and so forth. Who made the mountains? Well, the natural forces did it. Natural forces, they make everything on planet. And who made the solar system? Well, something, the laws of the physics did that. And so we extrapolate. When we reach the limit, we do not find anything. And when you trace it back, nothing was created by nobody. Creation does not create anything. Why is that? It was very disappointing for the mind to get such answer. Yes. Why does the mind want this kind of creator? It is our ignorance. We want the cause of everything, because that's what is our conditioning. We see the cause of this and that. Let me tell you, if you want to examine the cause of whatever you know, then also you will never find the cause. Never ever find the cause. Tell me the cause of this chair you are sitting on. tell me the cause of the simple thing that are lying around you. No, I'm not going to go, don't worry. This is kind of a very time-consuming thing. I give you as a homework, as inquiry. You will never know what this chair is. You will never know what this water is, what is this air. You will never know this because you're trying to know it as cause and effect. Charlie is saying, we want causes because we think of limits. The limit does not exist. There is none. Yes. And it looks like the chair is a limited thing. It looks like the chair isolates itself from the empty space, isn't it? And I'll give you the bottom line so that it becomes interesting for you. We cannot know the cause. We cannot know the source. We cannot know the creator or anything like this because that which appears is only an appearance. It does not really exist. If it existed, I can guarantee you that you would find the cause of it. If this chair, this body, this person, this sound, this vision, if all this existed, you would surely find a cause of it. You would surely find from where it came. The problem is nothing really exists. It appears, and so is causeless. Appearance do not need a cause. If it were real, you could question it. Yes, how could this exist? Why is there something instead of nothing? How did the something appeared out of nowhere? Because there is this assumption in the mind that it is real. See, it is not real. There is only one thing that exists, which is the self, which is the Atman, which is the Brahman, pure consciousness. Nothing else exists. And then how can this self exist? This is the question, isn't it? It also does not exist. I cannot say that I exist. This is what is his name? Nagarjuna did. The famous philosopher Nagarjuna. This is what Bodhidharma did. This is what Gautam Buddha did. This is what many sages have done, like Ashtavakra and Avadhut. They may differ in their explanation of it, but I do not exist. The self is not. The self is exactly equal to the not self. Now this is going to go, bouncer for many. That's why. Start with the ordinary objects. See if they exist or not. What do you mean by exist? Now we are going to the bare bones of the direct experience. My direct experience says that nothing exists. And since it appears, I can see it. Yes, there is an experience. There is one that is experiencing. It is paradoxical. And therefore, it is not in the grasp of the mind. Because the mind understands existence, the mind understands cause, creator, effects, linear progression in time, limits. This is chair, this is cup, this is litter, this is camera. It understands the divisions. Can the mind understand the wholeness? Don't even think about it. Cannot. So Nisargadatta Maharaj used to say, he said, consciousness is an appearance. The absolute, you will never know it. And the problem is not that we are incapable of knowing it, we do not have the intelligence, we do not experience it. No, it cannot be known by the mind. The thing is, it does not exist in a way that the mind likes to think about existence. So here probably I should end because it's kind of out of syllabus, isn't it? We do not know the answer to this question really. Whatever Ajay has pasted there, Ajay, that is not the answer. Don't worry about it. The answer is I do not know. That is the answer. I cannot know. Unknowable. Aggeya. Do not try to know it. So what do we do on the non-dual path, on the Advait path or on the Buddhism path? That we deconstruct what we know. Deconstruct what we know. Is there a creator? Is there a cause? No. That is how you purify your mind of all the ignorance that you have assumed about this thing. Now whatever Anil has asked, I do not call it ignorance. It is very intelligent. Let me tell you, there are handful of people in this world who know the answer to this question, which is there is no answer to this question. So it is not ignorance. These questions will appear when you start looking. So I recommend look deeper. You have used the words, the cause, the creator, the existence. Now get into the definition of these things. What do they mean? Is the mind throwing them around like it has heard it from somewhere? Now it is applying the daily daily concepts of our survival world, our illusory world, to that which appears as this illusion. Is it doing that kind of extrapolation, like projection? You must have heard this very question. You say, why is universe so cruel? Why it allows suffering? And you can see the ignorance here. What is it? It's a projection of the human qualities on that which is beyond human. Why would you do that? What is the reason? What is the logic behind that? How can you project the qualities of the illusion onto that which is beyond illusion? Does it make sense? Is it logical? Is it rational to do that? And then Guru will say, no cause, nothing. Go home. Then the mind will not stop. It will say, why no cause? Why causeless? Swayambhu. How? So the thing is, you will never find an answer. The mind cannot know it. In terms of why, how, what. No, it is. That's why it is emptiness. That's why it is nothingness. That's why it does not exist really. Once you know it does not exist, unknowable, that is the limit. That is up to that the mind can go. The mind cannot go beyond that. Mukul is asking, when a lamp is lit with another lamp, is it the same or different? Probably he is pointing to this illusion of multiplicity, isn't it? I'll leave you with this beautiful quote. So usually we don't need to go into this depth that nothing exists. It is enough to know that whatever exists, whatever appears, is one with whatever perceives it. That is enough. We cannot know beyond that. So thank you very much for a very interesting discussion today. Hopefully it went without problems. Probably you were able to hear everything, and hopefully there is a lot of food for thought for you today. It is very exciting to think about such things. Never stop questioning. You see, it does not matter if somebody said that you cannot know it. Well, you reach the not knowing only by questioning. Is there any other way? No. Never stop questioning. This is what is the path of knowledge is. It is a path. There is no destination.
Pure experiences.
You were listening to Pure Experiences by Tharun Pradhan.